apple juice, peanut butter, bananas, Nutella. Oh, sorry, that's my grocery list. A catalog of food that I was going to get yesterday. Well, so much for that, I guess. But what is a grocery list really? A written reminder for myself? A lazy introduction to a speech? Well, yes and yes. In actuality, at its core, a grocery list is information. I'd rather not bore you with the definition of information because, quite frankly, your lives as students, teachers, or members of society are fueled by it in lectures, books, or media. Information lies at the center point of our lives and is basically inescapable. Now, my talk today isn't necessarily about information itself, but rather a specific type of information, open source information. If you're a programmer, you should be quite familiar with GitHub or any other collaborative version control system. It's a great example of what it means to be open source and is how I first learned of the concept a few years ago. In general terms, to call something open source means that its source is, well, open. Almost anyone can go into the source material and make changes to it. So, if you have an open source book, your friends can go and write in new chapters. Or, if you have an open source robot, people can modify its design. In the previous example, on GitHub, developers from all around the world can develop applications or websites together. This collaborative level of access has great benefits. Your book would make a lot more interesting turns with your friends' unexpected additions, and someone with incredible making skill might turn a messy robot into something worthy of a shelf at Target. Talent and perspective that differs from your own brings out more interesting outcomes to almost any endeavor. This is why authors have editors and teachers encourage in-class discussion, for example. However, there are some downsides to unlimited editing powwow. Before you panic as your friends start sneaking embarrassing stories into your serious novel, or some overzealous teenagers, fatherboards, add some flamethrowers to your gardening robot, there are limitations that can be added as protection against this. The easiest example of this arises in Google Docs. When sharing a document to other people, you can grant them full editing permissions, only allow comments, or just offer a viewing option. Actually, we accidentally sent our speech to Mr. Pearson. This set of limitations is necessary to preserve the integrity of the work you're trying to accept changes to if you don't know your contributing audience. This distribution of information is great for the general population, but what about a student? Can students really benefit from up-to-date, unbiased information? Or more importantly, can they add to it? Well, the first question is too easy to answer, so let's jump to the second. While we've seen situations where students had discovered new things, such as Matt Dardette's talk last year, that's not the type of contribution I'm alluding to here. Yes, new information is certainly substantial, but what a student can mainly bring, I believe, is their perspective. Perspective can be shaped by a lot of situations, whether that be through a past experience or a different way of thinking, and that's what's so great about making knowledge modifiable by students. They can make knowledge relevant and express it in terms of their own lives. This type of contribution is best applied in a classroom setting. More and more teachers at Pine Crest, for example, have been engaging students in group discussion, collaborative activities, and active learning within the classroom. These approaches to education have been proven time and time again to be the most effective way of retaining knowledge. So now that we've talked about how the contributor benefits of open source information, let's talk about the information itself. One of the greatest sources of information on the web is on Wikipedia. Ooh, perfect timing. In the early stages, there was a sense of caution around the legitimacy of its content. Many times, people have defamed articles with humorous replacements or downright hurtful additions. In some instances, users have contributed false information or information with too strong of a bias. This led to some wariness of the concept of having knowledge be open source. We weren't as familiar with the concept as we are today back then, with applications like crowdsourcing on Kickstarter or traffic data from Google Maps, because back then we didn't even have smartphones. So why should we trust people on the internet with access to information, let alone the ability to modify it? Well, we've come a long way since then, undergoing a paradigm shift in digital communication. The evolution of smartphones and social media is a proverbial sneezing insomniac to us at this point. We're sick and tired of it. So we've become more accepting of information from someone else's fingertips, that's the title, but has the information itself become any more reliable? Actually, yes. Researchers at the Technische Universität München in Germany analyzed the accuracy of pharmaceutical information in Wikipedia versus widely accepted textbooks of pharmacology. They found that, and I quote, the overall completeness of drug information in Wikipedia was 83.8 plus or minus 1.5%. Quite accurate if I say so myself. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking, but if you had access to academic textbooks, why not just read the academic textbooks? Well, to that, I present another statistic from Benjamin Hughes et al., that Google and Wikipedia are used by 80% and 70% of physicians, respectively. So this shows that even if students have other traditional methods of gathering information at their disposal, or more accurate ones, the most accessible is still through open source. So, what do we make out of all this? Or rather, what will you make all of this? Because that's the goal of open source, of the movement towards widely accessible, modifiable, personal information. You can make this. Information isn't an abstract entity lying in the ether between social media and society. It's a solid, concrete foundation we build on one by one, person by person. The information at someone else's fingertips, pushing us towards a future worth writing about. Thank you.